Good morning, everybody. Thank you, respected chairperson, and thank you, moderator, for kind words of introduction. Well, as it was said, I was introduced as an advocate, which I am currently, but as it was read out, that I had long association with international relations, and particularly with BIMSTEC and this India's Look East policy. In fact, it feels nostalgic to be invited to such an event because it was me and RIS, Professor Mahanti is there, Sabyasachi is there, they will tell you that between RIS and I, we were the people, Professor Prabir Dev from RIS and me from Kolkata. We two were the convinced people in this entire country that India, in order to develop, particularly Eastern India, in order to develop, needed to engage with Southeast Asia. That's why we, a Bengali and an Oriya, we put all our might, intellectual might, in promoting this concept of BIMSTEC and cooperation around BIMSTEC, because we found that this natural contiguity, natural contiguous region is being politically divided, and that is what is blocking the development of India and to be Eastern India in specific. Sad to inform you that all that could be done is reminiscence and reminiscence and reminiscence. Nothing of purpose has yet been achieved, and I say so with a heavy heart, because I have invested 8 to 9 years of personal energy in promoting BIMSTEC. I remember I went to Myanmar when it was not interested in holding the third BIMSTEC summit. I had to mobilize the entire academic fraternity of Myanmar and pressurize the Myanmar government that you should organize the third BIMSTEC conference. And the third BIMSTEC conference was organized, and there it was decided to institutionalize BIMSTEC, and a BIMSTEC secretariat was created, and the first Secretary General, Professor Ambassador Sumit Nakandala was appointed from Sri Lanka. Now we have Indramani, His Excellency Indramani Pandey, who is a good friend of mine. I worked with him while he was Consul General in Kwanchao, because I was also promoting India-China relationship. So now after that, the official document, the BIMSTEC roadmap, was prepared in the year 2015 in Bangkok. And I don't know how many of you are aware of this fact. The vision document on which BIMSTEC now moves was prepared in 2015 under my chairmanship. I was the chairman of the committee that drafted the vision document, which is now the official document of BIMSTEC. Now, why am I sharing all these things? I don't wish to take any credit for all this or boasting all this. I am saying because I am out of academics for all practical purposes now. A lot of things have been done. I am now into legal practice. But into this august audience, I need to inform the impediments and the why this entire thing is not taking off. Everybody has recalled their reminiscence. I thought I should also do a bit, so I wore a shirt which I don't know how many can identify from which country this shirt is. This shirt is from Indonesia, and it clearly gives resemblances of batik print of West Bengal, which is part of Greater Kalinga at that time. And people have been to Indonesia. Have you seen the silver filigree in Western Indonesia? The striking similarity those silver filigrees have with Cuttack, the silver filigree of Cuttack. Kindly visit those who haven't visited Cuttack. Do visit Cuttack and see the striking similarity. Now, again, I'm sure there must have been a lot of reminiscence. I will say that how this entire thing was managed in the ancient times. There are questions that why did it decline and what to be done. Let me tell you, the contact of Orissa with Southeast Asia doesn't need to be overemphasized. Professor Suchandra Ghosh, my elder sister, said that she didn't find any reference of any ports in the writings of Ibn Battuta. Well, we don't have to rely on Ibn Battuta only. We can rely on Ptolemy's works. We can go to Jataka, which you referred to. We can go to, many ancient writings. And I think Mr. Tripathi was talking about Raghuvansa. I'll just recite one line from Raghuvansa where he says that Anena Sardam Biharamburasis Tiresu Talibana Marmaresu Dipantaralayanita Banga Puspe Rapakruta Swedalava Marudvi. The meaning, to the shores of Kalinga comes the air from Indonesia, filled with the scent of cloves and other scent. It is in 5th century. Imagine by that time, the relationship of Kalinga with Southeast Asia was clearly established. I will go a little more, to the past. The world's greatest pagoda, Swedagon Pagoda. Have you ever tried to know what is the origin of that Swedagon Pagoda? Two merchants who carried the hair of Gautam Buddha, which is the foundation of Swedagon Pagoda. They were from Utkala Desha. Their names were Tappusa and Bhalluka. So these were the kind of traces that tells us that Orissa had a thriving contact. I have given a paper, that paper can be distributed to show that there are at least 12 thriving ports in ancient Orissa, which were maintaining constant contacts with the Southeast Asian countries. And as it was said that they were following the project, following monsoon, and they were making use of that knowledge. Kindly see the connections that these Odisha or these Eastern Indian, Sadhavas or traders during those times were maintaining. It is all along the coast. It is all along the coast. It is Myanmar, Bangladesh, now currently Bangladesh, then Myanmar, then Thailand, then Malaysia, Indonesia. It is the coast which surrounds, this Bay of Bengal. That is how the connections were maintained. Now, if you are trying to revive India's Southeast Asia connection, everybody is harping on this particular connectivity that India had in the past, India had in the ancient times. We lost it for many reasons. I will not get into why we lost that significance. One of the reasons is that the Chinese emerged as a major player in the medieval ages because Zheng He, and after that, the huge ships they brought in totally, outpaced, outcompeted our Indian small ships. That is one of the reasons, but there are many other factors. But when we talk about re-engaging with Southeast Asia, we sit in Delhi or in Gujarat or in somewhere in the western side and we think about, cultivating relationship with Southeast Asia, India's relationship with Southeast Asia, forgetting the fact that the ancient relationship that you have been harping upon was cultivated from these eastern cities. It is a pathetic situation that instead of promoting those, connects, those dots that actually connected Southeast Asia with Bengal, with Kalinga, we are trying to dissociate, we are trying to demolish all of that. Again, with a heavy heart, I am to inform you that there was a case filed in the Odisha High Court to stop this Bali Jatra. The importance of Bali Jatra cannot be overemphasized to this august audience, but there was a case filed that we need to stop this Bali Jatra. And I was requested by the Government Council, Mr. John Venture Katkia, to write a piece to convince the judges that Bali Jatra need to be continued. And I wrote it, and thankfully the judgment went in our favor, and you are having Bali Jatra today. I wrote that it is Bali Jatra which needed to be promoted as an international trade fair. That is how you can promote Bali Jatra and make use of these old contacts to promote India's economic interests. Now, the last point I would like to flag off. When you are thinking of, reviving the still, those maritime contacts, do business and all that, kindly keep in mind that those ancient times, all those trades, all those contacts could be sustained because there were no political hindrance as it exists today. The entire Chinese, the Afghanistan, the current Pakistan, the Nepal were all part of the network. I think there were pictures, maps shown, that how this inland activities, inland routes fed into these 13 ports that operated in coastal Orissa. Now, you are now imagining to restart this entire thing in a totally different political setup, completely different political setup. You need, in order to strengthen your Southeast Asia engagement, please remember, two countries are of utmost importance. One is Bangladesh, another is Myanmar. You cannot have your Southeast Asia engagement, excluding these two countries. You remember from the period 2008 to 2000, 21, 22, 21, we cultivated Myanmar, we cultivated Bangladesh, we established this, we created this situation where we can cooperatively work. Look at Bangladesh now. Is it in a position to cooperate with India in any manner? Look at Myanmar right now. Do we have a government in Myanmar with whom we can, interact? So these are the problems that actually impede India's engagement with Southeast Asia. And kindly, nobody is talking about the biggest elephant. I think it has been thought that best avoid that is China. Can you think of developing India's east and northeast without involving the Chinese? I will give you one example. We tried to, flourish our Southeast Asia connection, by Look East policy, Act East policy and all that. We started in the year 1992. Today we are standing in 2025. Can you tell me what has been the development in, how much progress has been there, how much development has been caused in eastern part and northeast part due to India's Look East and Act East policy? Nothing. Because the Act East policy, Look East policy, the way it is being managed, it is totally unnatural. It doesn't take the geography into consideration. It doesn't take economy into consideration. It is thriving on a political consideration which is totally artificial and is completely negative. So what we need to do is out of the box imaginations now. We need to imagine an economic space. We need to imagine a social space which transcends these political boundaries. Unless we do that, we cannot actually translate the potential that is there. Mr. Tripathi was saying, the potential that is there into developmental initiatives. We need to understand that these political arrangements that we are living right now with are meant to foster economic activities. Let's not create bottlenecks. Let's not create political divisions to block economic engagements, to block social engagements. So long as you do not realize that you need to work with China, you need to work with Southeast Asian countries, developed countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, you cannot in effect give a fillip to your aspirations of becoming a developed country, and the eastern part of India will always remain underdeveloped unless you realize the ancient connections and the rationale on which those ancient connections flourished. If you realize that and translate that into current economic policies, current social policies, current foreign policies, I am sure Orissa will regain its lost glory. My final sentence, if you actually wish to engage with Southeast Asia, the boat to Southeast Asia must start sailing from any of the ports in Odisha. Thank you.